Welcome to another episode of
Rye can tap my knee.
so I go ahead.
Oh, I'm Patrick, if you stop laughing at me.
And I'm Kevin, and we are a boys love podcast that focuses on all the press and mess around that stuff. You know, I didn't say that right at all. This is what happens when Jonathan is not here, but he's 8,000 miles away. We have Patrick here to fill in some big shoes. Y'all remember him from when we did the boyfriend recap. How are you doing, Patrick?
How am I doing? That's a loaded question. Do we have that much time? I don't know if we
We
do.
do. We
I'm
do.
living. I'm alive. That's what I like to tell people now. So, how about you?
You know what? I'm also living.
Yes.
I'm alive. I'm well. I had a busy day. A lot of stuff that I needed to get done. But you know what? The sun is out. It's not too hot. Actually, it's not hot at all. It's like in the low 70s,
What?
which is nice over here. So it's nice.
It's rainy and gross and humid here all day, but we needed it, so.
So y'all, for reference, this is Patrick is in Chicago. I'm of course over in the NYC part of the country. So the weather here is nice, and it looks like in Chicago it's just wet.
Mm, mm, yes, it's been very dry here lately.
mm. Well, since Jonathan is not here, we're not doing word on the tweet. So we're going to go to our shows of the week. So, Patrick, what is your show this week?
Oh, I didn't do my homework. I'm sorry. So I only watched two shows recently, but I'm gonna say
Mm.
my show of the week was I Can Hear the Sunspot. Was it Sunspot or Sunspots with an S?
It was
Well, what
Sunspots
happened
with
to
an
the
S.
other sunspots? They're just not there? Like, what's shouldn't
I don't know. I mean, listen, Patrick, you speak Japanese. So, what was the Japanese title and what
I
did it
don't even
translate
know what a
to?
sunspot is in English. I'm not gonna know that in Japanese. I don't know. That was the
Well,
only one.
what was
Oh, go ahead.
what was the Japanese
Oh
title
my
of the
god, don't
show? Do
ask
you
me.
remember?
No, I don't. It was probably something kikoeru. I can hear it. I don't know what sunspot is.
Well, I will say is Jonathan and I have noticed many times that usually the title in Japanese, when translated literally, is very different from the English title.
Yes. Which goes with that other show we'll talk about later. You know what? I'll look it up after this because I'm afraid my computer will implode if I open anything while recording. But I bet the title. But you're right. The title usually isn't translated like literally. There's always something a little
Right.
different about it. I've noticed that as well.
Yeah. Or sometimes they're just very different,
Yes.
like completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, I am gonna ask you pretty much generally speaking, and then we'll talk about I Hear the Sunspots later.
Yes.
But what did you think of the show overall in general terms?
So I don't think, to be honest, like, okay, when I was living in Japan, it was like hardcore watching Japanese movies and dramas. Like, that was a
Mm-hmm.
good way to
Mm-hmm.
like learn the language. I don't think I watched any BLs, but yeah,
Really?
well, it's not like that's not like the main thing people are watching. I was watching like what everyone else is watching each season, right? I forget if it
Mm-hmm.
was like quarterly or like twice a year. But the
Okay.
structure was really similar to like just, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't like using the word normal to refer to like queer people because like we should be normalized. But you
Okay.
know what I mean? I was like, wow, this is like
Yeah.
you could swap out anyone here and this show would still 100% make sense. So I really appreciated that. I was kind of surprised, to be honest. I don't know. What did you think?
Mm. I mean, I love this show overall, and and I know that Jonathan loves the show too.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the fact that we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I said this in previous episodes that we're seeing characters with disabilities,
Yes.
and we're seeing that more and more in BLs, generally speaking.
Oh.
And it's great that we're seeing the diversity and the depth of queer people
Yeah.
beyond typically BLs solely focused on cisgender men who were having like identity crises,
Right.
okay,
Right.
as in like dealing with, learning that, oh, they might be into guys, or my favorite, and I say this sarcastically, they are into this one guy and that's it.
Oh, like gay for just one person, but
One
everyone else is,
person.
yeah, I don't know how that works, but something tells me that's not
Right.
realistic.
No, not at all. But
So,
they've gotten better. And I think that is because I'm not sure with Japan, but I do know with in Thailand and in Taiwan, at least they have more and more queer people on production. And that's
mm,
so important
yes.
for telling these stories,
Yeah.
And and I know in Thailand, some of the pioneers, quote unquote, of the BLs in Thailand. Some of them are queer people,
Mm.
unlike in Japan, in many cases, and in Taiwan, many cases they were straight women.
Which like I could see and like when somebody queer is involved in a show, right? You can just tell. You're just
Mm-hmm.
like, somebody was sitting there. I think this show definitely didn't have that, but like I still wasn't mad because it's like you said
Right.
there were stereotypes. Let me clarify that because okay, and if I mess up, then I think I got the names for this. What was it? It was
Mm-hmm.
Taichi was the one guy, and then Kohei was the other. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were both stereotypes of men, but not gay
Mm.
stereotypes. So I was like, okay, like you have
Mm.
the one like Taichi was like loud all the time and it's very like masculine. Even the way he talked was like he.
Mm-hmm.
You saw him with a grandpa. It's just like, oh, you lived with your grandpa a little too long. You all like sound the same and
You're acting like an old man.
right,
He's acting
right.
like a curmudgeon.
Right, and then
Right.
Kohei is acting like his mother, very like demure and all of that. And I don't know where the father was, doesn't matter. But it was interesting that they also were just like, yeah, we're not bringing that up. Um,
Mm.
but I did appreciate that like one wasn't like, listen, I identify as like femme to an extent as well, but I get tired of seeing the like stereotypical like one's a football player and the other is I don't know whatever
Yeah.
you want to throw it
Yeah.
into, and it's just like okay, I was like wow, these are just like two guys you would actually see like as someone that taught at a school. It's like I know both of these men, like they would have
Mm.
existed in real life and they would have interacted with each other because like you're not separated that
Mm.
much. So
Mm. See, and I really like that perspective. I did say we weren't going to talk about this show too much since we were going to talk about it a little bit more later, but I'm going to leave it right there
mm,
for now. Um, so my show
yes,
is Happy to the End. Did you get a chance to watch a little bit of
I
that?
think that was the one where I was like, I don't have time and mental energy.
Uh listen, I think you actually would like the show because it's very different from I Hear the Sunspots. Very
Oh, how
different.
so?
As in it deals with both of the guys come from very troubled childhoods,
Mm.
and in the show both of the it's all related to the organized crime in
Oh.
Tokyo.
Hmm.
So it's a little edgier. Um, there's a lot of it's uncomfortable to watch. I'll say that too because there is I I would say it's a show worth watching,
Yeah.
but it's not for
Yeah,
everybody
I get what you're
because it's
saying.
executed well.
Uh-huh.
It has some very strong subject matter because one of them one of the main characters
Hmm.
who I can't think of his name at the moment. Like this is what happens when you have a lot of shows on your roster, okay? I'm gonna call him Blondie because he dyed his hair blonde.
God.
And and he is pretty much living off of men that he's sleeping with
Oh, I should have
because he was
watched
kicked out
this
of his
show.
home.
Oh my gosh.
That's why,
All
see, listen,
right,
he
all
was kicked
right.
out of his home because he's gay. He came out to
Mm,
his family and they kicked him out. So that's what he had been doing for a
yeah,
while. The other dude, and this is why I was saying, listen, you need to see this
I'll
show
watch it.
because
I'll
it's
watch it.
actually pretty good. So he, the other guy has got into, at a young age,
Mm,
his mom was, I guess, somewhat of, I guess, a prostitute in some ways.
okay.
Um, and he's still, and the uncertainty was, we're not sure if that's his biological mother
Right,
or someone
right.
who just took him in. We
Hmm.
don't know. Um, but he ended up getting into um, being used as a child prostitute
Oh God, this
at as early as 11, 12 years old. So, like I said, this show is very, it's
intense.
very heavy
Yeah,
content, you
yeah.
know. Um, but you know what? Not gratuitous because you don't. We have now. If you're thinking there's going to be any kind of sweet cheek booty meat or anything like that, not in this show.
We didn't get in
Not in
any of
this
the
show.
shows.
Yeah, I there's very few Japanese BLs that
Yeah,
they show that much. And the only
yeah.
one that I have seen where they do that is the novelist, also known as the
I think
pornographer.
I saw
But
that. I can't remember.
yeah, that's the only Japanese BL that I've seen that much skin. Other than that, the rest, they may have sex scenes, but you're not seeing more than things from the waist
Yeah,
above, you know.
you are
Oh,
lucky
and then
if these people kiss. It doesn't even matter if it's gay or straight. You're lucky if they even
right.
kiss.
Oh, there's kissing in this one for sure. And
Like
a lot of it.
real kissing or like
Like real kissing,
I'll have to
yes.
watch this
And
one.
some of it forced, some of it not.
Oh gosh.
But I mean, it goes with the story.
Yeah.
But I would say if you can find it, it's
Oh,
worth watching.
I can find
Otherwise,
it.
otherwise, it's on Gagaoolala.
Oh my gosh.
So it is
I
available to watch
learned
there.
so many like app names in the last 2 weeks. I was just like,
Hmm.
where am I watching these? I'm like, okay, sure.
Yes, Gagaoolala, iQiyi. I mean, listen, anyone who is a diehard BL fan, and I know Patrick, you are aware of BLs,
Yes.
but you're not like, but you don't really watch a lot of shows to begin with,
I
in
don't. Not
general.
these days, no.
Yeah, so, but who knows? Maybe we might get you
I
addicted.
go through my stages
Your
sometimes.
phases,
Yes.
just like with that game we both play in stages, City
Oh my
Skylines.
gosh. I had to stop. It was an addiction. I'm like, I have a life, I have a partner. I gotta just I gotta stop building roads.
I haven't even gotten a new version of that. Okay, we're getting off track. So let's get to shows that just ended.
Yes.
So we have two shows that ended. One of them is I Hear the Sunspots, which we talked about a little bit. But
Mhm.
before we get back to that, let's talk about Takara's Treasure. So what did you think of that show?
I hated that show so
Ah!
much. I'm sorry, Jonathan, if you liked it. I can feel your spirit being disappointed. I
So
hated it. What did you think? I'll tell you why, but what did you think?
I want to hear what you think first. I really do.
I
I want to hear the whole tea.
what was the other guy's name? Not obviously the one guy was Takara, right? What was the other guy's name? It was similar to Taichi, but it was it Taijin or something? What was it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Hold
I
on. Hold on. I'm going to tell you right now.
yeah,
I should have pulled this up.
I can't remember.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, while you're looking up his name, you are not a freshman in college. Sir, you look older than me. Like I that bothered
Stop.
me so much. It bothered so the other guy, Takano looked I was like, you look the part. I can't stand when people play roles. It's just like you don't there's no way in believing. It's like when you have
Well, that actor is about 3 or 4 years older than the one who played Takara.
yeah, well, 3 or 4 years older than what you, and he's pretending to be a freshman. Like what?
Don't do that.
But you know what
He
I'm
is
saying.
seriously
I'm
he is he is older than the guy that plays Takara.
all
So the guy who plays Takara is 21.
really. Oh, he didn't.
And the guy who plays Taishin is 24 or 25, something like that.
Oof. All right. Well,
Yeah.
you know what it is though. It's the makeup, and as someone that used to like be
Mhm.
into it way more than I am now, you cannot just load. Everyone does this. They put 20 pounds of foundation on a man, and then nothing else. You cannot have a flat, cakey face. You will look old. It makes
Right.
you look old. And blend the
Yeah.
ears.
Mhm.
His ears were red the whole time. It's just like just a little. You
Mhm.
can blend a little brush, just swish swish, like cover the ear. It looks bad.
Yeah.
You're a professional actor,
Mm-mm.
so
I mean, I will have to say his eyes were cute
they
and his
yeah.
smile was cute. But
So
yeah, the makeup
you
they could
don't
have toned down a bit.
he had those like I don't know if you know who this is. His Hamasaki Ayumi eyes. Like he looked like the male version of her. It freaked me out. I'll send you something
Mm.
later if you haven't like seen her. I was like, oh my god, you look like Ayu. Like if she was a 40-year-old man.
Uh-uh.
But in all seriousness, I mean those things did bother me. I thought his character was so annoying. I'm
Like,
sorry.
I was gonna ask you, is this how rural folk who in Japan who
No.
just moved to the big city
No.
act? Because apparently that was what he was supposed to
They
be. It
were
was supposed to be this country
yes,
bumpkin.
and that I think that bothered me so much because I lived in the countryside, right? Like there's more like it's
Mm.
called the Inaka, right? I lived in like not the most Inaka place ever. There's like way more remote. People have access to maybe if it was like the 70s or 80s, sir, you have a computer. You know how to text on a phone. Like this is him texting. He's like, re ga told. I'm like, you know how to say arigato. Like, stop. Like, this isn't cute. You look ridiculous. I thought it made rural people look really bad, and like because he's like, oh,
Mm.
I don't know what love is. I don't know what a fan is. I don't. I'm like, that's such BS. Yes, you do. Like,
I
you're
was trying to figure out. I'm like, how remote is where he's from? At
no,
first, the first few episodes, I was like, maybe the village he's from
no,
is under a rock or something.
no.
Maybe that's what I was
They've
thinking.
got
But then when we go to
5G
it,
on
he's not
all
that
the
even that
rocks.
far.
They've got 5G
He,
on all the rocks. Let me tell
right.
you.
He's not even that far from Tokyo
Right.
because it seems like he could literally just take a bus there.
Right.
Like, and it wasn't a long bus ride. So I'm like, I don't understand. Like,
Well, even
how
his
sheltered are
right, and even
you?
his sister's like, well, I know even the most exclusive fragrances in with those like rocks or whatever. I'm like, if she is tuned in, you can be tuned in. Like, put a little effort.
So it sounds like so maybe he's supposed to be simpleton. Like maybe he's supposed to be like Rose Nyland from Golden Girls.
Oh my god, don't get me started about Golden Girls. I don't know anything about it. Somebody was horrified that
Stop,
I've never watched it. And all I
Patrick.
know, the
You
only
should. You
character
would
name I know
love
is
it.
Rose, and then I will make up the rest. It will be like Colette. I don't know. Like,
Colette.
I don't, whatever. Like, I don't know. Don't
Like
ask me.
Patrick, that's a show that when you have
I
downtime, you should
promise
watch it
I'm
because
gay.
it's despite the fact that the show is nearly 40 years old, it is still
Oh
relevant,
my
and
god.
that's the beauty of the show.
You, I don't know.
Outside of
We'll
that,
see.
um, I just
Maybe.
didn't think you should.
Mm.
But I okay, this is what I'll say.
Yes.
I thought the show was fine for what it was. As someone who's watched BLs,
Mm.
I it gave the typical standard BL tropes that if you want something just easy to watch
Yeah, yeah.
and not one that gives a lot of thought, because sometimes you want that, especially since we're getting more and more deeply thought out BLs.
Yeah.
This is a show like, okay, you know what? This is one I could just chill with. I could kind of just watch it and be like, okay, I satisfied my BL craving
Mm.
and I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's the way I felt. But also, yes, Taishin was pretty dumb.
I mean, I didn't want to say it, but see, I think you're right where it was going just for like the I'm very naive and innocent, but if you're going for that angle, Takara wasn't like on the other he wasn't the other extreme. You know what I'm saying? He was just kind of like
Right.
mysterious and was like I'm just a private person. So I was
Right.
like this dynamic doesn't make sense. I get from your perspective when you watch like you have a lot of shows you're like oh this is something but for me that doesn't I don't watch a lot of shows. I have a very short
Mm-hmm.
attention span. I was like I'm bored. Like I know we'll talk about like I hear the sunspot more later but like I wasn't bored with that. With this one I'm just like do I even care if you to get together and like they got together like mid season or like not at the very end and I was like okay great like I'm more interested in the two friends that were like obsessed with that Rurui guy or whatever his name was. I was like oh
Mm-hmm.
these two seem
Mm-hmm.
interesting, can we just shift the drama to them and like forget about these others. So
Did you watch the special episode of Takara's
yeah, I
Treasure?
watched it without knowing it was a special one where like she's stalking him and like blogging about him. I had a lot of problems with that. So
Yeah, I was like, this is peak Fujoshi.
yeah,
Like,
I was like,
peak.
this is like a personal blog trying to out two guys like indirectly. I'm like, what are you, girl? Get a
And making
hobby.
a whole, and she made a whole narrative
Right,
about them
right,
that had nothing to do with their lives.
correct.
Like, peak Fujoshi. And
Somebody needs
we've
to sign
seen
her
this
up to Bumble
character.
or some shit so she gets out of the house. I tell you what, like,
Especially since there was a guy trying to pursue her
yes,
and she was not focused on him at all because
yeah.
her first love was creating this blog telling a story about two guys that she kind of knows but not really and creating a whole narrative about them. That's not true.
She
A fan
just I
fiction,
know.
pretty much.
But watch the fanfic part is probably like the true part of this, and that's what this is based off of. And now she's like richer than we'll ever imagine. So I guess good for her.
Who knows? Maybe the person who wrote this script, maybe um, what we watched is actually her fanfic turned into a show.
I bet I could see it. That happens.
Yep,
So
that does. And I I think anyone who's watched BLs, we've seen a character like that in other shows where
oh,
some of them are creepy and some of them are actually kind of cute, like, because some of them actually get consent. Others are like secretly doing it
yeah,
and then also doing it under a pseudonym and so it's not unusual for us to see, but it is kind of like, girl, you need to calm down. You're doing
yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
Like, pull it back, okay? Um so typically we rate shows because this is what happens on my drama list.
Yes.
With from 1 to 10. With 10 being great and 1 being no.
Mm,
What do you rate the show?
okay, so I'm gonna put it in all my Japanese drama categories, not just BL, because that's I've watched many of just in general. I'm not gonna give it a
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
because I've watched some real like hot garbage, and it wasn't that. Like, listen, if anything, it made me want to buy like scent stones, and I was like, oh, does it really diffuse the oil? Let me look this up. How much are these stones? Um,
Mm.
I don't know. I'd give it like a three. I'm
Oh,
just like, no thanks. What about you?
I'm going to give it a 5.
Okay.
And that's for me that's on the low end because I usually, I think if a show is good,
Hmm.
it's going to get a 6 or a 7. And then if it's exceptional, it's an 8 or
Dang,
above.
6 or a 7
Um,
for a good? You are tough.
yeah, just good. As in, like, I would say, if you're going to watch it, I think you enjoy it. Like, it's a show that I watched, I
Yeah.
enjoyed, but I've seen better. So that's why I put it between 6 or 7.
Hmm.
Anything less than a 6, like if it's a 4 or 5, it's like, well, it's not awful, but if you watch it, you'll be all right.
Hmm.
And I've seen some BLs that, and Jonathan has too, that are just,
Bad.
oh, they're awful, like so bad.
Yeah.
And we've even mentioned a few of them on this show before that are just Like,
Yeah.
we would say, do not watch. Like, don't even waste your time, you
Yeah,
know?
it is
And
bad, but I think it was produced well and like it seemed they acted
right.
well. It's just like I just didn't like the one character so much.
And this is why it gets a 5 for me, is because it was produced well.
Hmm.
The story was fine, you know, and I think that was where the story was just okay. It wasn't
Yes.
amazing, it wasn't great. And I mean, I was even kind of annoyed, like, with how he was so depressed over his bird dying.
Oh my god, that bird. I forgot about it.
I understand how people's pets are their family,
I
you
get
know,
it
but I was
too,
kind of
but
like, I don't understand this thing with the
it was
bird.
like not fleshed out enough. So every time he brought it up, you're like,
Mm-mm.
you had a bird? Oh, that's right. And you talked to your dead bird's photo about this guy. I'm like, you have a. I'm just like, do you not have anyone else in your life? Like, that was my thing. I'm like, I get that you're like feeling like you loved this pet. I understand. Like, but you're, why are you talking to its photo? Like, stop, please.
It was very,
Oh my
I,
god.
that's the thing. I think this actor needs something different to do. So hopefully he gets other, like, I would like to see him in another BL that's a little bit more serious, because this show was low key unserious
Really?
at some points,
Mm,
not all the time, but at some points. And I think it's, you're right, the issue surrounds just this character.
yeah.
Everything else was not, was, you know, it was all right. It was pretty benign,
Oh,
and it was pretty like, okay, this is typical BL plot, you know,
yeah.
follows the tropes. Okay.
But you know,
That's why I'm like, I'm gonna give it a 5.
right. But you know what? I will say they had like the subplots that if they fleshed those out a little bit more, it could have been more interesting, right? You had like the creepy
Mm-hmm.
stalker salary man. Like that was intense. I was
Yes.
like, oh gosh, like,
That was.
ugh, ugh, kimoi, like
Yes.
creepy, gross, yuck. And then the
Mm-hmm.
mother storyline was really interesting because that's a real thing. Like you're a
Yes.
mom and you're like, I need the best everything. Like her son, Takara looked so cute in that little frilly shirt as a kid. I was like, oh my god, I want
Mm-hmm.
that shirt as an adult. So- and it was like, but it probably costs so much even for that child because the mom is just like, I need everything. I loved that.
Right.
I was like, this is really interesting. Like, let's, and it made sense. So like Takara was like fleshed out really well, but the other guy just all he had was his bird, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not really a strong storyline for you. So,
Well, I guess, you know, if the I guess, you know, Taishin is supposed to be this simpleton country bumpkin, there's not
yeah,
really much to flesh out.
yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, I mean, what else are we gonna know? It's like, okay, he's a little dense. Okay.
Something. I was gonna like
Yeah.
maybe his bird pecked him on the head a couple too many times. I can't even say it.
Oh my gosh. He was just so I mean, I at least thought, I was like, he's cute in the face, and I'll give him that.
Yeah,
And I just wish they put less makeup on him, you
or
know. But
contours, something, a little blush.
something, you know. Yeah.
Uh,
Or maybe just no makeup,
yeah.
you know. Like, sometimes all you need to is like just a little bit of concealer, and that's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So, um now let's get back to I Hear the Sunspots. We
Yes.
did talk about this a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because it was just a show that you chose for this week.
Yes.
Um I guess my question to you is, what other things kind of stood out for this show, other than the fact that it was, you know, it felt like any other kind of Japanese drama.
Yeah.
Um, and the characters were interesting and the story was good. What else did you find that was intriguing, or at least different for you, that really kept you interested in the
Engaged.
story
Yeah. Well, I will.
and engaged?
Yeah.
Yes.
We touched on this a little bit before, but I will say like the thing I did appreciate about Takara's Treasure is like I felt the same in that you could swap out any of the people. Like they didn't have to be being gay wasn't really the thing. It was about being in love with somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I did appreciate that. I mean, hated the rest of the show, but going back to I Hear the Sunspot, I thought they built up the like you were just like waiting for them to like get together, right? That's how I felt. I was like, I
Yes.
wanted to watch the next episode. I was like, is Taichi gonna just be like, yo, bro, I love you? I'm like, why will you not say it? You're thinking it. Like every episode, I'm like, would you
Mm-hmm.
just say it? Like his character was really good. He had a strong storyline. It's like, yo, I don't have any money and I'm going to school. I have to work 2 jobs. I'm living with my grandpa
Mm-hmm.
because my parents were just like, we don't want you anymore. That story was
They
sad.
divorced and didn't know what they wanted to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
his parents are they kind of suck,
They
you
did.
know.
They did. And the grandpa was so loud. Every time he like talked, I'm like, oh my god, please be quiet.
Well,
Uh,
now you see where,
I
Tai
know,
Chi got
I
it from.
know. But then Kohei's story was like also very good, right? Because they showed that thing when he was like
Mm-hmm.
younger and the stuff happened to him, and everyone kind of was just like, we don't want to be bothered with you anymore, which would really happen, I feel. And like that, like
Mm-hmm.
would mess you up. I'm just like, yeah, both of these people seem very real, and I really appreciate that about the show.
Yeah, it's, and I also, oh, I should ask you,
Mm,
because this is where I will say I agree with everything you said. Like, I felt the same way,
yeah.
where I was like, I just really want y'all to get together, because
Mm-hmm.
clearly both of you are interested in each other. And
Yes.
Kohei was the first to land on the lips and
Mm-hmm.
literally show.
Yes.
But then, you had to have old girl Maya come up
Oh my
and
god,
disrupt things. What did you
Maya.
think of her?
Oh my, like, I don't even know where to start. One thing I don't even, Kevin, I don't even know where to start with Maya. Like, it's just, she was so annoying. But I think I
Mm,
got why, because she was like jealous of Taichi and Kohei's relationship, right? She wanted Kohei until she's like, oh
yes,
shit, this dude's gay. Whoops, well, I guess. But it's just
right.
like, you can all be friends even when she didn't realize they were like into each other. It's like, so you're just gonna cut this man, you're gonna, whoever your man is, you're just gonna try and cut him off from all his friends. But I'm like, also that people are really like that when they get in a relationship. They're like, I
Yes,
don't want you with anyone but me. I'm just like, red flag, red flag.
right. She was giving big red flags. And
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, also, like, y'all are not together. And Kohei
Also,
was not trying to date you.
right,
Like,
also,
he just wants to be a mentor, and that's it.
Kevin, also, things besides sweater vests exist. Like, that girl had on a sweater vest and repeat outfits? This is a drama. Why you can't repeat a statement sweater vest? I'm gonna notice. And it looks bad. Oh my god. I just
She, know what? Listen, she was the queen of sweater
she
vests.
was,
Okay,
they were cute, but I'm
she,
like, do you own anything else?
she, like, she was like, you know what? Me and these sweater vests, like, I don't think there was an episode she did not have on a
There
sweater
was,
vest.
but it took a long time. I'm wondering, is she sponsored? Is she trying to be an influencer and she only wears sweater vests?
Or
Like,
maybe that was just her. That's her
it's their
thing.
side hustle.
Maya was. Oh no, maybe. Like, I think it was like, some people,
Yeah.
when they try to show their aesthetic,
Mm,
they wear the same kind of piece over and
that's
over,
true.
and what that means. Oh, you don't know fashion.
That's right. She was cute though, but
Yes,
I
she was cute but
she
annoying.
was annoying, but like she was supposed to be annoying, so like, yeah, I got
Yes,
it. So
yeah, she was the one who created drama, and that's where that made any kind of misunderstandings that Kohei and Taichi
yeah,
had bigger, more
yeah.
amplified, because Homegirl was disrupting stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be like, shoe fly, like, girl, go
Right,
away.
right.
Like, you're doing a lot.
But
So,
also, how does Kohei not see it? Like, some of it wasn't as obvious, but I'm sitting there and he's just like, huh? I'm like, dude, you can clearly see these two have like, are you that like, can you not read the room? There's like a Japanese expression for him, like, what is it, like kuki ga yomenai? It's like, dude, you can't read the room? Like,
mm,
what are you doing? So
yeah, he was not reading the room at all. And
no.
I guess part of me wants to say that he did not even think Maya had a thing for him. So he was probably like, I don't know where this is coming from, and I don't know why they don't like each other, but it's
Oh,
not my
I didn't think
business.
about that.
Maybe that's what he's thinking.
Mm.
And he's more focused. And then also remember around that time, he and Taichi, because they had
Yeah.
miscommunication, where he was probably also like, well, I don't know how I can approach him about this
Right.
because, yeah. And then also, Maya kept taking him away
Oh
anytime
my gosh, it
Taichi
was
tried to
so
talk to
annoying.
him.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot of this. The communication was just, the space for the communication was not there,
Yeah.
you know. So, but also, like, he really wasn't reading the room because that tension at times was
Oh my
thick.
god.
So clearly, it's like if you can smell it and you can taste it and you
Right.
can feel it,
Right.
like, come on, sir. Like, you might be losing some of your hearing, but you're not
Oh
losing your sight. You're not losing
no.
your
Oh
feeling. You're not losing your
no.
fingers. You're not
Don't
losing,
say
like,
that.
come on.
Don't say that.
So,
But yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was like, come on. Like, you got everything else is going.
Mhm.
So, like, that's why I'm kind of like Kohei. I think, I don't know, maybe love was blinding him, and I
Yeah.
shouldn't say it like that, but love was like clouding his judgment. There we
Yeah,
go.
I mean, I think he was just like I think you make a good point where you're like he didn't even think about her being into him, so you're just like, oh, maybe these two just don't get along. Whatever, it's not anything,
Right.
and can't see it. But like even if they were just like your friends, you need to sit down with both of them. And to be fair, it's not
Yeah.
just Maya. Like they were both being like horrible to each other, Taichi and her. You need to sit them down and
Right.
be like,
I mean,
listen, we
but,
worked this out, y'all, because we don't have time for this.
well, I'll say this. Taichi was giving Maya the same
Yes,
energy she was giving him.
absolutely.
Like, I think Taichi would have been nice to her if she came correct, but she decided to come
Yes, 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 yes.
incorrect. So it's like, if you're gonna come to me like trying to throw bows, like, I might have
Right,
to throw bows back,
right, exactly.
So, but you know what? The one thing is I like about him is, Taichi did get really real with Maya
That's
later,
true. That's true.
and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
So he did get real with her, and I think that shifted their relationship in a good way. Where then I think it became more of a playful kind of fight,
mm-hmm.
but I think she respected him because he was honest with her, you know.
And and she
Um,
was kind of like a mirror for Kohei as well, right? Because he's like, oh, because a
right.
lot of the things she said, he said earlier in the show, and he's like, yeah, I used to feel like that,
Mm,
but somebody da 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 da. You know, as you get older,
mm-hmm.
that stuff's like real. I mean, I know I'm still so young, but you know, when you get a little bit older, you start reflecting and are just like, wow, I was like really horrible when I was younger. Maybe
Mm,
my older
mm-hmm.
self would have hit me across the head and said, listen, it's not worth getting all wound up about these things.
Yeah. I love this show. And we could talk about
I
the
loved it
show
too.
on and on and on because there was a lot. What would you rate the show
Ooh,
out of 10?
I would give it, oh gosh, maybe 7.5, 8, somewhere around there. I don't. It's not my like.
Mm.
I love a messy show. I want it to be messier, and that's a personal preference.
Mm.
So let's give it an 8 as a general.
It's so funny because I literally felt like it could be messier as well. And that's, I think Jonathan and I even talked about that a while back, where I was like, I like the mess from Maya, but I was like, it could be a little messier,
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7 as
Okay.
well. It's a good
Yeah.
show. It was a really good show. I enjoyed it. I think it's worth watching. Considering some other shows that I've seen, like, because I have some standards that I have that
Mm-hmm.
will reach a 10 for BLs from Japan. This one is not close to
You
that,
need
but
that
this show is
booty
very
meat,
good.
otherwise you're not giving
Oh,
it
it
a
doesn't have
10.
that booty meat. It doesn't have to,
Oh,
because I
really?
would say my one of my top Japanese BLs is, oh gosh, and I just had it in my head and it went out.
Uh-oh.
Oh wait, it's coming back. It's coming back. I can feel it because they just made a Thai version of it. Oh, Cherry Magic. There we go.
Oh my
That
god.
one is a solid
Of
9, and we don't even
course.
see them
Of
kiss.
course it's called Cherry Magic. Oh my god.
Yes. And you probably, I would say that's another show that's worth watching when you have time. It would
Hmm.
be a binge. It came out like in 2020 or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Um and that one is great. Like, very good. Um, one of my top ones for sure from Japan. Um, Anywho, I got a little game for you,
Yes,
Patrick. So
yes.
let's get into a game. So I have a list of alleged Japanese BLs,
Mm-hmm.
and you will tell me, based on the title, if it is a Japanese BL or not. If it is, have you seen it?
Okay.
And if you have not, will you watch it just based on the title?
Okay.
So I'm calling this game Japan No. Japan or no.
Sure, why not?
Okay. So
Mm,
the first one's going to be easy.
okay.
Takara's Treasure.
Yes, I have seen it. Would I watch it again? No.
Okay, that was a warm up. Okay, next is My Love Mix Up.
My love mix up? That's giving me. Oh, I have to guess if it's Japanese or not, right?
Right.
I could see that being a Japanese title.
Yes, it is a Japanese title. Correct. It is. It actually came out in I think 2020 or
Okay.
2021. And then a Thai remake came out earlier this year and it's
Interesting. There are a
finished.
lot of
And
remakes
it's
of
a high school
shows,
one.
aren't there?
Thailand this year is on is on a remake kick.
Mm.
A very particular production company is
Ooh.
remaking Japanese BLs.
Interesting.
So
Why not?
yeah.
Why not? So,
Yeah. Next, Love Shuffle.
Love Shuffle. Have I seen that? Is that a Japanese BL? Yes.
It is not a
Oh, what
Japanese
is it? Is it
BL.
real? Is it something else?
It is a real show. It is a Japanese show. But it is not a BL. But there is a bi male character
You
in the
tricked
show.
me because I think I've seen that. That's why I was like, I think this is
It
a
came
show.
out in like 2009.
I probably saw it.
Yeah, you might have.
Please don't.
It's a great show. That's one of my favorites. It's a good show. My Beautiful Man.
I don't think that's a Japanese show.
It is.
Oh my god, what?
It is. It came out in 20. I think also, I actually might have been pre-pandemic, but then they had a second season and a special film that came out as well. Jonathan does not necessarily like that show because of the toxic relationship. But I told Jonathan he needs to give it a chance because the second season it redeems himself. The relationship gets less toxic because there's a lot of learning, So it's a good show. Secret Crush on You.
Not Japanese. Or wait, are they all Japanese
Correct.
and I'm guessing they're BLs or not? What am I doing here?
No. If it's Japanese,
Okay.
and then if it's a BL,
Oh my god, there's two layers. So I was right.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It's not. That is correct. It is a BL, but it's a Thai BL. So you're correct in this case.
Okay.
My Personal Weatherman.
Not Japanese.
It's Japanese.
Oh my god. I need to see the real titles. These translations, I don't know about it.
Yeah, it is Japanese and it is a BL. Yes, it came out I think sometime last year.
Personal Weatherman. Okay.
Would you watch it?
Is it like about a weather anchor dude?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, because they're usually attractive. I would watch it, sure.
Okay. If you watch when you get a chance, just watch the first episode and let me know if you think he's attractive or
I'm gonna look it
not.
up on the side. My Personal Weatherman. Oh yeah, they are very pretty. Oh my gosh, yes, I would watch this 100%.
Okie dokie.
Oh, that sounded that sounded like a little bit of judgment in it, but okay.
Let me sip my water right
yeah,
quick.
why don't you sip it? We've been talking for a while. I think you need to quench your thirst.
Um, 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Gosh, we're not talking about the group, are we? Is this another trick question?
We're not talking about the group because the group is 4 minutes.
Then it's
But this show is called 4 minutes.
It's probably Japanese, I'm gonna say.
It's not. It's Thai.
Oh my gosh.
And it just ended a couple weeks ago.
Just gonna look moving forward.
And it's a good show.
Is it?
It's a really good show. Yes. It's one of the, it's like not cute in any shape or form. I'll tell you that. And it has a supernatural element to it.
Oh, is this like that robot show you all were talking about?
Oh, no, not that one. No, that one is a Taiwanese show, the one with the robot.
Oh,
Yeah. No.
I need more robots. I was really disappointed there was no robots or ghosts or something. I was like, I really need somebody to be coming out here and shaking things up. So.
Yeah, the only one with the robot is, I don't know why I can't remember that one, but yeah. They're making a sequel to it,
Good.
which I'm excited yet uncomfortable. So, because robot sex, I don't know.
You embrace it. The future's coming. AI.
Oh no, like it's a little weird.
Yeah, whatever. I'll give anything a try.
Next is Kaseki, Dear to Me.
That's Japanese.
It's not.
What? How?
It is Taiwanese.
Oh my god.
It is Taiwanese. Also a good show as well, but it's from Taiwan. And it is a BL as well. More Than Words.
Oh, I'm just gonna say Japanese, even though I'll be wrong.
It is Japanese, yes, and it is a BL. Actually, considering how you liked I Hear the Sunspots, I think you would like More Than Words. It's available on Amazon Prime, actually.
Oh.
And it's a really good show. I would definitely recommend it.
It's on Prime. I can watch it.
Yes, it's really good. And it's definitely like slice of life and a pretty real situation. So, actually, I would say it's one of my favorite Japanese BLs, and it's very underrated.
Okay.
I'll say that.
I will watch that one.
Old Fashioned Cupcake.
Oh my god, these names! I swear to God. Old Fashioned Cupcake. Like, I'm not even gonna ask. I'm gonna say not Japanese.
You are very wrong. It is Japanese.
I need to see what the Japanese name of this is. Old Fashioned Cupcake.
Yeah.
I'm looking. Is it a BL?
Yes, it is.
Office Plot. Oh, it really is just called Old Fashioned Cupcake. Sure. Okay.
Even in Japanese?
Yes, it's just in, like, yeah.
Is it in katakana?
Yeah, it is.
So, but yeah, it's also, that's a good office BL. I enjoyed it. And plus, I think you would, because I love a food BL.
I do. I love food
And this
dramas.
one,
yes.
Yeah, and this one, there's a lot of delicious desserts. Like, they go out to eat desserts all the time after work.
I would watch that.
So,
1000%.
and it's only 5 episodes, so it's a very easy watch. So, Game Boys.
Game Boys? I don't think that's Japanese. And if it's not, I think I've heard of it.
Correct, it is not Japanese.
It is a BL.
Correct, it is a BL.
Is it?
And it's from the Philippines.
Right. So I started watching that a while ago. That was like a COVID release, or like they were pushing it during like when everyone was locked in. Yeah, it was
it was a COVID BL. Yes. I have still not watched it, but that was Jonathan's first BL ever, was Game Boys.
I guess technically it was mine as well, but I don't think I ever finished it.
Yeah, I haven't started it, but it's on my list.
It's cute.
I mean, Coffee Prince.
Coffee Prince? I'm gonna say Japanese.
No. Gosh. It is Korean. And do you think it's a BL?
No. I don't think it is.
It is not. In fact, this is a very, very famous show that it has uh, Gong Yu is in it. He's the lead in that. And it's pretty much about a guy who falls in love with a tomboy that he thought was a man.
Wait.
And then ends up being that, oh, this is a girl. So the whole time, half of the show, he's been questioning his sexuality.
Well,
thinking he was gay.
He should probably still be questioning it if that's why he was attracted to this person. So if he didn't know.
Yeah, it's
I have thoughts.
It's a very I will say the show is from 2007. So of course, the way people used to think back then it's a little different. Yeah. So I'll give it grace in that regard, but also I remember back then I didn't finish the show because I got really irritated by the middle of the show because I was kind of like, I was looking for, I think at the time that's when I was really looking for like him to say like he is gay. Yeah. But in Korea that was not acceptable.
Or something like bi, or I don't know. There's so many things to choose from. Something in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it didn't get to that.
No, it never would. Not back then, of course not. So
not back then. Life, Love on the Line.
Not Japanese.
It is Japanese.
Oh my God, I'm so bad at this. You got to put a score at the end so you can see how bad I did.
Yes. And then, is it a BL or not?
I'm gonna say not.
It is a BL. Oh. And it's only 4 episodes.
Love a short show.
It is pretty good. You will get frustrated. For the right reasons,
Okay.
Not, yeah. So, and you would talk to the screen like I did during that show. Because I got so irritated.
I mean, I did
with
that.
one of the characters.
I did that with I Hear the Sunspots. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yes.
You love each other. Just kiss or hug. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Osan's Love.
Osan's Love?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say not Japanese.
Oh, it is Japanese.
It must be your pronunciation.
And is it a BL or not?
I guess I could see that being a BL. I could see it either way.
And it is a BL. Yes, it is a BL. And it's actually one of the most famous Japanese BLs. In fact, so famous that it has a Hong Kong remake. It's in the process of a Thai remake. There is, and also it got a second season and like a spinoff.
That's a big deal because second seasons like aren't a thing. So if you get one,
And it is a comedy with the classic Japanese camp all throughout. It is worth a watch. I was laughing at every single episode.
Is it like that slapstick comedy though? Japan loves. Kind of,
but there's some drama to balance it out too. More so in the second season than the first one. But yeah, it's a show that I think I actually enjoyed the show a lot. It's one of my favorites, and the the Thai remake is coming out in a couple months, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, I've not seen the Hong Kong remake yet. So, Kidnap.
Oh my God, this sounds like that show I just watched. I'm gonna say not Japanese.
That is correct. It is not Japanese.
I don't hope it's not any romance kind of show. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I guess the question is hope, but is it or is it not a BL?
I'm gonna say it's a BL because I don't want it to be a BL.
And it is a BL, correct. It's a Thai series that just started a couple weeks ago.
Kidnapped?
But it's actually really good. It's really, really good.
I don't want to know, do I?
Yes, you do. So all I will tell you, because this happens in the first episode, and it's pretty much in the trailer for the show, a rich kid who happens to be the son of a police sergeant happens to be kidnapped for ransom, and the people who held him for ransom want him killed but the kidnapper decides not to kill him and instead hides him in his home.
Well, how is it a BL? Who's falling in love with who?
The kidnap and the kidnapper.
See, that's why I have a problem with it. No, I'm not watching that. That's that. Isn't that Stockholm syndrome stuff? But it's the opposite. No, we're not. No. Stop. It's like that Gone Girl or whatever series where it's like, where's my daughter? Everyone needs to stop with kidnappings. I don't want to listen. I don't want to. No.
Yeah. So far, I would say it's actually been pretty good. I'll say that. I'll leave it at that. Last one. Yes. The Novelist.
The Novelist is Japanese, but it's not a BL, right?
It is Japanese, and it is a BL.
Is it really a BL? I didn't know it was. I thought it wasn't.
No, it is. This is the one that I said is probably one of my top Japanese BLs. And it is spicy. Ooh, especially they did make a prequel to it called Mood Indigo.
That's right. You were telling me about this. I'm mixing it up with another show, but yeah.
If you were to... Mood Indigo... That, let's just say Jonathan said it was too much for him.
That means it's good, everybody. That means it's good. If you're listening, you already know that.
Jonathan couldn't handle. Jonathan was like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." So, well, that is it. Let me tell you your score. Okay, you ready?
No.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right, and that is out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you got half right,
like 50%. Okay, I did watch Love Shuffle, and I remember because I looked it up. Because the main actor in it, one of them is Karina, and I loved her. I was obsessed with her. I would watch anything she was in. I was like, I know that show. So
that was a good show. That was actually, I think, my first Japanese drama ever.
And that
was Love
and
Shuffle.
I think that the one guy, it's so long ago, like Shota Matsuda, I think he was like up and coming then. I don't know. I'm assuming he's still doing. I don't know. Is he still doing stuff? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't followed any of the actors from that show in a long time. But I was telling Jonathan that's a show that I would rewatch because it's also been like well over a decade since I last saw it. So, well, anyway, speaking of well over a decade, it has been well past our time. So we got to go. So that is it for this episode of Ride Can Top My Knee. Bring your knees back, like your name is Jonathan, like back to the U.S., because we'll see Jonathan soon. He's away on assignment, so.
Come back, Jonathan. We love you.
We do. Come back soon. Anyway, bye-bye.